I'm going to talk today about how the information technology, let's see, have we got some slides on the monitor? My time is going, but my slides are not. That's not fair. Okay, here we go. So, next slide. We should be living in an economic paradise because Moore's law, fiber law, and disk law are giving us exponential performance gains, and these benefits of information technology should give us benefits throughout the rest of what we do. And yet, we're living in an economic paradise lost because there has been no Moore's law for software. While hardware is getting better, faster, and cheaper, software is getting worse, more expensive, less reliable, and the result of the totality of the system has been a failure. Now, Albert Einstein tells us that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But we have taken insanity to a new level in information technology. We have taken it to the level of insanity times 10 to the power of 12. Global ICT spending is over $3 trillion a year, and throughout many decades, we have seen a waste of about 30% of all information technology spend. Today, we're wasting over $1 trillion a year on bad software. Now, bad software is not new. Fred Brooks wrote about this problem in the Mythical Man Month, describing a situation from the 60s. There are companies out there who develop bad software as a competitive strategy. So, are we insane or thinking like sheep? Maybe we should start thinking like farmers. Michael Pollan remixed Wendell Berry to talk about the difference between the industrial model of agriculture and the sustainable model of agriculture, and I find this has something to do with software. What's wrong with the industrial software model? Well, it doesn't work. That's been documented since the beginning, and the quality output of proprietary software is 20 to 30 defects per 1,000 lines of code, which is just insane. But the worst problem is costs are externalized. And what that means is the money you are wasting is reported as record profits by the software industry. That is ridiculous. We need to look at the whole system. So looking at the system, what's great about sustainable? We know about the idea of thinking 7 generations into the future. 7 generations of Moore's law, 7 generations of fiber law is easily within a career lifetime. So knowing that, we should be making excellent choices, not insane ones. But the best thing about the sustainable model, which comes from the omnivore's dilemma, is that the animals do most of the work. Now, what about those open source animals? When the quality of the Linux kernel was measured in 2004, we were producing code that was more than 100 times lower in defect density than proprietary software. The next year, it measured even better. And when they expanded the aperture, they found that the worst part of the LAMP stack was still 40 times better than proprietary software. Now, sustainable software is software which, no matter what you do, you make the whole system better. Eric Raymond says it's a developer scratching an itch. Now, we have documented now that open source has achieved Moore's law for software. We started with a better quality level, 100 times better, and we're making it even better every year. Moreover, the functionality of open source is doubling every 12.5 months. How do we make this work for you? We need a new business model that recognizes the organic nature of software, that software bits should be free to read, modify, and share, and that the value comes from services delivered. Now, this idea of combining being the mother of all innovation, look what Intel says about their business model. Incorporate discrete components and integrate them into a single new device and then give them back for free. That concept of distributing the combined whole is radical. In open source, rather than configuring property around exclusion the traditional way, we should configure property around distribution. We should make liberal technology available. So the way we end the insanity, to sort of paraphrase and shorten Deming, is number one, use freedom of choice to not do the same thing over and over again and waste another $1 trillion a year. Have a system where you can improve the quality constantly and forever. When you're looking at procurement, the question ultimately should be, what's the exit cost? If software costs nothing to acquire, it costs nothing to retire, and that opens up innovation. So, we know the dangers of Ponzi schemes in the financial world, but in the technology world, we're living in that same kind of version. How many software vendors are selling licenses that have no actual value and demand ever-increasing amounts of new money to cover old promises never kept. A new organization standing up in Washington, D.C., Open Source for America, is not only advocating the importance of open source technologies in government, but also trying to ensure that users and developers can legally develop what you can improve. Thank you very much.